Hello, everybody. Continuing with our translational longevity series of CellTalk presentations, today we have among us Dr. Vijay Padul. He'll be presenting the topic on health informatics, that is, health genetics data to predict longevity. Dr. Vijay Padul is a senior scientist at Renix who leads the bioinformatics, genomics, and next generation sequencing research related activities in the organization. He's currently working on the neoantigen cancer vaccine pipeline projects here, and he holds a PhD in life sciences from Homi Bhabha National Institute, Navi Mumbai. And his PhD study is focused on cancer genomics. And previously, Vijay has worked as assistant professor at graduate and postgraduate degree colleges as well. At Renix, he has gained experience in scientific, operational, as well as administrative activities. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you, Dr. Divya, for the nice introduction. So in our translational longevity series, today I have chosen a topic of health informatics, health and genetic data to predict longevity. In this presentation, we will see how health informatics will be a useful tool or a repository for predicting longevity or to identify the biomarkers for predicting the longevity. These are the articles that I have shortlisted for this presentation. So let's see what is aging. Aging and health span. These are the specific goals that scientists are taking for their research activity. Aging, it is defined as the process of accumulation of consequences of life, such as molecular and cellular damage that leads to functional decline, chronic diseases, and ultimately mortality. So this is true for every organism. Organism will live his life, and throughout that duration, a lot of damages will occur, growth will occur, and it will lead to diseases, or the animal can also stay healthy, but ultimately the organism will die. So the aim of the aging process is to identify how to extend this particular process so that ultimate mortality will come at the latter stages. Health span is a period of the life or age of an animal in which the person will remain healthy. It is defined as the period of life prior to onset of chronic disease and disabilities of the aging. That means the time period that the animal spent in good health. So in recent times, aging biology research is expanding. A lot of different institutes are carrying out different researches in animal models and also using data in humans to identify different biomarkers of aging and interventions. Identification and evaluation of longevity interventions is important to extend the lifespan of humans and also the age, healthy lifespan of the humans also. And this is an important factor in deciding the health of society. Identification of valid biomarkers of aging is important for research and its application also. Development and validation of these biomarkers is essential for clinical applications also, which will ultimately decide their applicability to routine individuals, patients who are expecting to extend their life and health span. And utilization of the aging biomarkers in clinical trials is important. And once these are verified through clinical trials, they can be applied in the general practice to suggest to the common population. What are the different biomarkers of aging? So this slide gives a description of that. There are molecular biomarkers, physiological biomarkers, and digital biomarkers. Molecular biomarkers will include the omics, a signature of an individual, which will come from epigenomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and metabolomics. And these will ultimately depend on the genetics of that individual, which ultimately will be inherited from the parents of the individual. Physiological biomarkers, they will come from the physiological characteristics of that particular individual, blood, which will include blood biomarkers, different metabolite levels, and exposure to harmful chemicals in the environment. These will affect the physiological biomarkers. And next, there will be digital biomarkers, and these will be measured from different different diagnostic instruments and new age different wearable technologies are emerging, which can record different types of biological health data of an individual. So all these data or all these biomarkers and methodologies, they generate some kind of data, which gives some useful information about that particular individual. So even if it is an individual or a test subject in a research activity, all of those individuals in that test, test or the research activity, they will create some data points. And these data points form an important source for discovery of different types of biomarkers and factors that are affecting the longevity. So what are the present challenges with respect to this data? Is that there is a lack of standard biomarkers. Different studies in mostly the studies that are considering aging and longevity, these are in the nascent stage, and these are largely dependent on the animal model studies. Because ethically in humans, these kinds of studies cannot be carried out in a strict conditions that the research experiments require. So there is a lack of standards in the biomarkers which are needed. And for that, we'll require large studies, large-scale studies in which a lot of humans will be analyzed with their different data points collected to this different levels of different biomarkers. And consensus on properties of reliable aging biomarkers are also lacking right now. Patient medical history and reliable records are needed for application of aging biomarker-based interventions. Whatever biomarkers that will be decided to be of reliable quality, once these need to be applied, they need to be applied taking into consideration the medical history of that particular patient. And medical history of a patient can go for a lifetime of that particular individual. So for each time point, is that particular patient preserving the medical history so that we will get the right information about the past of the patient, so that future interventions will be suggested depending upon a reliable data. That is an important thing, and which is lacking at present. Then maintenance and access of the genetic data and patient medical history. Genetic data is continuously created by different sequencing instruments, and these are stored in certain kinds of formats which are accessed and probed with different softwares, and which will give the information about that particular individual. Again, this data is very large, and all the associations of the genetic information with the longevity is not yet met, and even 100% accuracy of more reliability in those particular interpretation is lacking. And difficulties to capture, store, analyze, and visualize large and complex data set, that is another issue. Then patient compliance in use of data capturing devices. It will not happen that 100% of the patient in a particular subject, test subject, will be able to use those particular devices and create the data. So there might be some lacunas in creating those particular data points. So all of these data will not be 100% complete. Then throughout the history of the aging research, there has been a lot of different milestones that have been achieved, which this slide is depicting. So since 1935 up to 2022, different milestones have been depicted. And all of these milestones and progress in the research has created huge data sets. So there are a lot of data sets available, and new data sets are being created. And this exponential growth in the data, it is giving rise to a need for standardization of these particular data formats, and also raises the questions about the reliability and usability of these particular databases. So this aging research, this needs the patient data in fine genetic, physiological, and temporal granularity. So that also increases the complexity of data that is being used for the aging research. Now coming to health informatics, it is defined as the science of how to use data, information, knowledge to improve human health and the delivery of healthcare services. This definition is given by the American Medical Informatics Association. So this health informatics, the basis for that is the analysis of different types of patient data that we have already discussed, and a major factor of that is the electronic health records. So these electronic health records, they store all the data of coming out from the health analysis of that individual patient, different test results, different medical visits to the doctor, the treatments that were suggested, diagnostic measures that were suggested, and different drugs that were administered. So all this will form the electronic health record of that particular individual. And there is rapid growth in the novel diagnostic technologies, so new and new forms of data points are also being created. There is significant increase of the generation of digital health data, but there is lack of standards for storage of those particular data. And why those standards are important, we'll see in the next slide. Then there are additional data sources that are coming up. There are different health mobile apps which will create different data for the individual. Then image capturing devices, camera devices are there. Then novel sensors are there. Wearable technology is there. So an individual can create a lot of different complex data points which can be part of the electronic health records of the individual, so that the individual's life can be mapped and which can form as a source for analysis and also as a source for suggesting some interventions to that particular individual also. So next part of electronic health record is a subset of it, which is called as a personal health record. Electronic health record may be created by hospitals and diagnostic centers, etc. So personal health record can constitute an individual's medical history, laboratory results, medications, and also the lifestyle information, which an individual can maintain by himself. Then there are public databases that are available. As I have shown already, there are different research activities that generate different data, and those are stored in public databases. So large number of biomedical databases are available. These serve as a resource for knowledge discovery and predictive analysis. And effective use of big data in biomedical research is possible because of the availability of these particular databases. But there are still some issues that are affecting these databases, as many of these databases, they remain online and many of those go offline, and they are not usable. So if they follow these FAIR principles and trust principles, that can increase the effective use of this data in the biomedical research. So first principle is the FAIR principles. So it stands for findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. Findability means is the data searchable? If uniform keywords are used in that particular database, then the data becomes well searchable, and user can find the information that he's looking for. Accessible, as it says, the data should be accessible for use. Interoperability denotes that different research groups can collaborate on that particular database to carry out their research on that. Reusability, if the data is reusable, the database can be useful for long term. Then trust principles, they denote to reliability and trustworthiness of the shared research data. How trustworthy is that data, and how reliable are those data points that were entered into database will affect the final research outcome. So these include transparency, responsibility, user focus, sustainability, and technology. So how this health informatics will be helpful in longevity prediction? So genetic or inherited variants associated with longevity can be discovered by using large-scale population level genomic data. Then for a particular individual, if his longevity is to be predicted, if his entire medical history is available, then that medical history can be probed for absence of any previous disease or disorder conditions. Lifestyle information will give an information about is there any chance of developing any lifestyle disorders for that particular individual, and Again, history of communicable diseases and its survival will also give an information whether the person is immune against certain communicable disease or not, and uh, whether there will be any major effects on the lifespan of an individual if the individuals carries out certain lifestyle that is recorded in his uh, medical history. Then data-guided interventions to reestablish longevity and health span. If some changes to the lifestyle is suggested based on the medical records, then whether it is possible to reestablish the longevity of the individual, these kinds of interventions can also be suggested if good data and more granular data of that particular patient is available. So coming back to summary, so good data is the backbone of good research. So every research requires good data, and it should be made a practice to get the data in a good form, so that whatever research outcome that comes up, it becomes applicable and useful. Longevity prediction and therapeutic interventions will need huge amount of genetic data and medical records of large number of individuals, and that will require development of databases that will be storing those particular data in a more granular form, and those data will be accessible to different research groups also. So the data can be generated by genome sequencing, sensors, and wearable devices. And all these databases that will be available or created by a particular research group and stored in a database repository, they should follow the fair and trustful principles, so that the data integrity and trustworthiness uh, is maintained, and that will be useful for research and diagnostics. With comprehensive personal health and lifestyle data and well-validated aging biomarkers, they will help in predicting longevity of an individual and data-guided lifestyle corrections to achieve longer health span. So these will be the impact of the good data if that is accumulated. And this is not only true for research activities in large population groups, but for an individual also. If the individual wants that the new research findings to be useful for his own benefit, then the person should make a habit of storing his data, all the medical records, etc., so that will be useful for his own health prediction and also for longevity prediction also. So that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vijay, for that presentation.